up, swashbucklers? You're listening to Under the Crossbones, episode number 144. My name is Phil Johnson. I'm your host for the show each and every week. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling your friends. Thanks for visiting sponsors and donating money and all that kind of cool stuff that you do. So here we are, episode number 144. Fun fact about the number 144, there are 144 tiles in the average Mahjong set. Now, if you've never played Mahjong, it is a tile game, a Chinese tile game, sort of based around, it's like a rummy, like a rummy card game type of thing, but it's done with like domino-like tiles, and mostly it involves Chinese women yelling at each other a lot, talking very, very loudly. I've sat through many a Mahjong game. I've played in some Mahjong games by force. I've been forcefully coerced into playing Mahjong many times, and I had to sit there with a cheat sheet with the little Chinese characters on my cheat sheet, because some of them are numbers, some of them are Chinese numbers, and I couldn't remember exactly what number was what. And so I had a cheat sheet there, and every time I would look at my cheat sheet, they knew exactly what I was holding in my hand there. So anyway, Mahjong, interesting game. I guess Jewish people play it too, but that's not been my experience. My experience is on the Chinese side of things. So 144 tiles in the Mahjong set. If you've never played, try it out. Go look it up and find the rules, and go find some Chinese ladies to scream at you. It'll be fun. My guest on the show today is Faith Pierce of Finding Your Neverland. Now, what is Finding Your Neverland? That is an adult and family camp with a pirate theme. So it's pirate camping in Oregon, in a beautiful part of Oregon. And it's like I said, it's pirate camping. Hey, that's some magic words for some people out there, right? Pirates and camping? Yeah. It sounds like fun. And look, I am not like a super campy person. I'm campy. Oh, I am campy. Yes, I've been accused of being campy, but I am not a camping person per se. I've done it a few times in my youth in the old Cub Scouts. There, we camped one time at the local mental hospital. Yeah, that happened. So we had a mental hospital here in San Jose called Agnew's, and they had large grounds. And the local Cub Scout, Boy Scout people decided that we were going to have the big annual father-son camp out on the grounds of the mental hospital. So it was weird because you're not really in the forest, you're on a lawn, and there's buildings all around you. So it was very strange. And also the marching bands, local marching bands would often rehearse on the same grounds. And so the patients at the hospital saw all the people around and kept asking when the marching band was going to start. And there was no marching band because there was a bunch of useless Cub Scouts just trying to figure out how to put up a tent. So that was strange. And then another time we camped in, we have a park here called Alum Rock Park, which is a big, like, sort of nature reserve park. So that was closer to actual camping, but we were still 25 feet from a paved roadway. So I've not done a lot of like real legit camping. And honestly, those two were enough for me. But Finding Your Neverland does sound like a pretty enticing adventure because it's a summer camp. It's not a summer camp, but it's like a 3-day type of camp for adults and for families. And there's all sorts of cool pirate stuff going on. And yeah, Faith is going to tell you all about it. But I think it's a pretty fun thing. I'm a little out of it today. I had some great shows over the weekend. I played in Clovis, California, down by Fresno, Friday and Saturday. Now the Friday show, last game of the NBA Finals. So we had a small crowd of people who didn't care about basketball, but it was a lovely show. That one was super fun. Saturday night show, crazy good, sold out, added tables, packed them in there. Wonderful show. And I am beginning to really find the legs in the material I'm working on. The material that I've been working on for a good 4 years now. I have spent the last 4 years angering a lot of people and making people feel uncomfortable. But now this material is finally finding its legs, and I'm getting really proud of it. People are coming out of the shows going, man, you are really good, and that's very exciting to me. So sometime within the next 6 to 8 months, we will be filming that material for my next special, and I'm thinking March, but I'm not exactly sure yet. So that'll be coming. But there is a new comedy special coming, and that'll be lots of fun. Oh man, I'm really happy with this material. I really am. If you want to catch me before then, though, You don't have to wait for the new special to come out. You can catch me easily. June the 12th, I'll be at Winters in Pacifica, California. That's tonight if you're listening to this the day it comes out. June the 17th, Woody's Brewing in Redding, California. I did that show once before. Holy cow, it was so fun. I'm really looking forward to that one. June the 20th, I'll be at The Hatch in Oakland, California. June 26th, I'll be at Buzzworks in San Francisco, California. And June 27th, I will be at Bricks in Oakland, California. And then June 30th and July 1st, I will be at the Long Beach Pirate Invasion. Yeah, probably not doing my show, probably not doing my material, because it won't be appropriate for a pirate festival. But I will be on stage saying things into a microphone in an MC-like fashion. I will be co-MC for the weekend. And it's going to be lots of fun. Can't wait to come out and see all the pirate folks and get to know some new people and meet some old friends who are going to be there. It's going to be a good time. That's June 30th to July 1st, Long Beach Pirate Invasion. I'm also going to try and hit the NorCal Pirate Fest, which is June 16 and 17. I think I might be able to swing through on the 16th because my show that night got postponed. So if you see me walking around at the NorCal Pirate Fest in Vallejo this coming weekend, stop by, say hi, stop by. I don't know, tap me on the shoulder, hand me a wad of cash. I don't know, but say hi. We can do all that kind of stuff. I got a thing for you. If you want to learn how to play guitar, I've been a guitar teacher for many, many years now, and I have come up with some pretty foolproof ways of teaching people how to play the guitar. So I've got a thing. If you've ever thought about playing the guitar, you want to learn, maybe you tried a few times and it didn't work out for you, whatever. Check this out. This is the 30-day guitar challenge, and you will learn 3 songs on guitar in 30 days with no more than 10 minutes a day of putting in time on the guitar, playing the guitar 10 minutes a day, 3 songs by the end of the month. And this is if you've never touched a guitar in your life. So if you want to check that out, go to underthecrossbones.com/guitar. And you can get in on the 30-day guitar challenge and check all that out. If you're enjoying the show, and I hope you are, come join us over on Facebook. We're at facebook.com/underthecrossbones. On Twitter, we're at undercrossbones, and make sure that you're subscribed to the show through whatever you're listening on, Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or Google Play or Podcast Addict or wherever you are. Wherever you're listening to a pod, just click that subscribe button. Ooh, here's a new thing you can do. If you have an Android phone, I just found this out. If you have an Android phone and you do the OK Google thing, my phone's going to turn on here if I say this, but if you say, OK Google, play Under the Crossbones podcast, it'll do it, right? Let's try it. We're going to do it right now with my phone. OK Google, play Under the Crossbones podcast.
Here's the latest episode of Theater, Under the Crossbones, the Pirate Podcast, UTC 142 Robin Flanagan of Crimson Pirates and Chris Leidenfrost of The Greatest Pirate Story Never Told.
And there it goes. It goes right into the show. It's actually like it's an episode behind, but that's okay. You can get that. All you have to do is just ask your phone for it. Now, how cool is that? That's pretty cool, right? So wherever you're listening, just make sure you hit that subscribe button. You can do that in the OK Google thing there too, and it'll make sure that you're subscribed. If you want to help support the show, that would be awesome of you. Go to underthecrossbones.com/support. There's a little PayPal box there that you can just stick a donation into, whatever amount you feel is appropriate. Maybe the amount of a bottle of rum. Since I don't drink, I will take your money and apply it to advertising to make this show bigger. How about that? If you can't do that, there's an Amazon banner there. Click that little Amazon banner. Go buy yourself something nice from Amazon, and Amazon kicks me back a few pennies, and that's always cool. I just got my Amazon order just yesterday. Got a book about Winston Churchill for my dad for Father's Day. Bought a new capo for the old guitar, and I bought a new alarm clock. I got one of those alarm clocks that gets brighter. It's supposed to be like a sunlight alarm clock where about half an hour before it goes off, it starts, bringing some light into the room and things like. We only used it one night so far, so I don't know if I'm going to get used to it. It's a little bit weird, but we'll try it out. So you can click that Amazon banner, buy yourself something nice, and Amazon kicks me back a few pennies. I don't get to do it on my own purchases, just so you know. And if you want to be a sponsor of the show, that's cheap. That's easy. We can do that. Go to underthecrossbones.com/support and contact me from there, and we will get you all set up. Okay? All right, let's dig into this interview. This is going to be a fun one with Faith Pierce from Finding Your Neverland. Check it out. So So Finding Your Neverland is your pirate camp, and the words pirate camp should strike magic into the hearts of everybody.
That's my belief.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about the camp and what you do there.
So we have been operating in Oregon, sort of officially but unofficially, like we didn't have a website or anything like that since 2011. And we recently acquired property for a permanent facility. For previously all of our camp experiences, we had to rent a venue each time.
Okay.
Sometimes they were in different locations. And we have sort of a cult following here in Oregon, where we have a lot of repeat clients. But the primary program is meant to be a technology detox program. The facilities that we use don't have cell phone service or internet. And the idea behind that is that we need breaks from those things. I worked in information technology for 10 years, and I found that this was the way I like to spend my vacation. And the more people I came in contact with, that was also the way that they wanted to spend their vacation. And that as our program has grown, we're trying to add more sort of outdoor education experiences to it, like knot tying and archery and axe throwing. And we have some training opportunities to teach things like pioneering and CPR, first aid. I really want to do a full-blown treasure hunt with a compass and a map, and teach people how to use a compass and a map. So there's just been a lot of potential for growth in the last year. And so we're reintroducing, we had 2 years off while we were trying to get property. And then this year we're reintroducing all of the old events that we used to run, and a couple of new ones. And some of them are all ages, meaning my primary demographic would be adults and family units. We are not a children's camp.
Yay!
we are not a children's camp. Contrary to popular belief, people read the Finding Your Neverland and they think, oh, it must be a kids' camp. And even some of my closest associates, they just say, oh, I'm going to send my kid to your camp. I said, as long as you're coming with them.
Right.
I'm not a babysitter.
Right.
And the insurance for that is slightly different.
I'll bet, yeah.
But I don't feel like in our current world there's a lot of opportunities for adults or family units to play.
Yeah, certainly.
And the biggest aspect of our game is kind of on sort of the LARP side of things, in that your involvement is entirely up to you. But when you arrive, you will be greeted by people who already have characters, who are my paid performers. They already have storylines developed that they can help various clients through if you choose to participate. We have a series of sort of historically influenced games, one of which I call the Warrant and Bounty game, which involves when you get there, you're given a certain amount of currency based on which price bracket you bought into, because, I mean, this is the real world.
Sure.
This is the 17th century was an oligarchy, so
right.
if you want to be as rich as a king, well, you need to also buy the king's suite.
There you go.
Yeah, so... but the idea being that you use that currency to either buy yourself a hunting license or a pardon. And then that makes you an official pirate or not a pirate. And we have some staff that are the King's Navy, and they will hassle you for your paperwork. They want to see your documents. That's kind of the idea. And it's been really great to see adults play alongside kids as individuals instead of helping their kids. So last year we had a special event for the total solar eclipse, and we had about 85 persons at that event, and it went really, really well.
Yes.
It was a pretty mixed group too, as far as adults and children went. So that was really nice.
That's really cool. So let's backtrack for a second. What were you doing in the IT industry before you got into this?
I was a regional expert on wireless technology for law enforcement.
Ooh, okay. So that's deep IT, deep IT.
Yeah. It's a big job. Job.
Definitely.
Lots of hours.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I can't imagine. And so on your vacations, then it was your goal to get away from screens, get away from the Wi-Fi, get away from the cell phone,
and talk to a person who wasn't angry at me because their computer wasn't working.
Right. And so, what kind of things did you go do to do that?
Well, I went to school for theater originally, and so I've always been pretty active within the sort of theater subculture of the Pacific Northwest. And so I've done plays and things like that. But I got involved with a pirate performance group as a founding member called PDX-YAR in Portland.
Uh-huh.
And I was with them for like 5 years. And helped get that organization started. We did lots of performances at pirate festivals and a couple of other type like midsummer Renaissance fairs and things like that. And we did a lot of pub sings and black powder demonstrations as well.
Okay.
One of my favorite gigs was we did a retirement party for Portland Public Schools, and it was on the Portland Spirit with all of these teachers who were retiring. It was quite a lot of fun. We got to shoot black powder off the boat, which if you are really a pirate at heart, that is all you need to hear. Yeah,
right.
I'm there.
Now, were you a piratey person before hooking up with PDX-YAR?
Well, yes and no. So the funny part about my story is that when I graduated from university, we had this big party afterwards where all the seniors were invited, and you were supposed to come dressed as what you wanted to be when you grew up. Uh-huh. And I thought it was the most ridiculous idea for a party ever. So I showed up dressed as a pirate. And lo and behold, apparently that was the writing on my tombstone.
Yeah.
So, I did a lot of LARPing in college.
Okay.
And some like convention type stuff. I was really into cosplay. I'm a costume designer.
Okay.
So like I have the ability to make myself look like however I want.
Sure.
But what I found is that I really liked the more rustic aspect of pirate reenactment specifically. Like my heart's really in colonial history. That's where my passion is. Uh-huh. And I especially like Caribbean colonial history, which I'm somewhat of a nerd about. But the idea being that you're outside and you're doing something tangible. Uh-huh. And in our pirate events, you get the chance to be someone other than yourself. So
right.
If you wanted to like change your personality for just like a couple of days and be around people who don't really know you, uh-huh. So you can be whoever you want. Huh. It's quite a relief. I've considered getting my master's in something called theater therapy. Okay. This idea that theater is a necessary part of people's lives for their mental health. Uh-huh. And getting people to have small opportunities to do theater is kind of my objective.
That's really cool. Theater is always such an interesting art form because it's so collaborative and very time consuming. I always wish I had more time to do it. The few times I've done theater, which is usually from a musical standpoint, it's always one of the most amazing collaborative bonding experiences you can have with a group of people, don't you think?
Yes, I definitely agree. You become a family, especially if, when you start working with performers for a long time. Within my group, we all have different bits that we do with each other at festivals and conventions and things like that, and some paid performances as well. And we just develop our own material, and people love it.
Sure.
And then they want to get involved. They want to play too. They want to be a pirate.
Right.
I think everyone secretly wants to be a pirate. So
right. Yeah. That's really neat. So then, at what point did you decide to do a camp? Because you're sort of if I'm right about where you are in Oregon, you're sort of mid Oregon, sort of right in the middle of the state.
We're in the central Willamette Valley, and I grew up there. Okay. And I grew up on a summer camp that my parents owned. and they ran. They've been running that camp since 1978. And it's for special needs adults. And their objective was to provide outdoor experiences for people who wouldn't traditionally get them because they have additional needs.
Oh, that's great.
And so growing up in that environment, what I started to observe as I became an adult is that there were non-special needs adults who weren't getting to have those experiences either.
Right.
In fact, didn't even know that was an option. I mean, you could send your kid to summer camp, but where's the adult summer camp that teaches fire building?
Right.
Where's the knife throwing? Where's the, archery? And so in the course of running several pirate themed functions through PDXR and through my own company, what I decided is that operation was going to be easier if I was an organizational camp.
Okay. And what's the difference there?
Well, the difference there is that like all my clients are largely pre-registration only, so I can tailor the experience towards a specific group or specific head count of people. That way, I also have an idea of people's ages and that sort of thing. How much beer I need to buy for the bar, that kind of thing. So over here on the West Coast, and I think elsewhere in the United States, there's an organization known as the Society for Creative Acronyms, the SCA, and they operate their events in a very specific way. And what I found was that there were some places where that organization was coming up short with regards to safety and liability.
Oh, okay.
And I wanted to change some of that. And part of that involves changing people's perception of what you are, because everyone in our area is so used to this particular type of event and how they're operated. And I needed to set myself apart from that, particularly because the price bracket is different and I'm providing different services.
Sure.
Because the SCA is more of a hobby involved activity where you only get out of the SCA what you put into it. It's a very expensive hobby. It fills up your garage with all kinds of living history, paraphernalia. Yeah. And before you know it, like I was working a gig for a company called Things from Another World out of Portland. And I was standing dressed as a pirate in my full attire next to a guy who was in professional stormtrooper attire, from Star Wars.
Yeah.
And he says to me, he's like, I bet your outfit costs more than mine. And I was thinking, there's no way. Yours is all like vacuum molded armor, right? And then I started doing the math. And I got sick to my stomach. Yeah. As I realized that I was wearing about $3,000.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, a lot of the pirate gear is really expensive and so nicely made and handcrafted and all that, but it can get very expensive very quickly.
It can add up. People tell me all the time as a costume designer, I'd really like to have an outfit that's like yours. And it's like, okay, well, how much are you willing to spend?
Sure, yeah.
Because I need your ceiling, and then I'll see what I can do. But once you start adding leather, knives, accessories, talismans, and then some of your fabric choices are going to be pretty spendy as well. So it adds up pretty quickly. Fortunately, because I've been performing for so long, a lot of my outfit I didn't pay for because I did barters.
Oh, so, okay.
Yeah, so I would exchange performance for a new corset, or I would exchange performance or even labor for a knife. So, but that's part of that whole theater community thing that you were talking about, where it's just very collaborative and it says, well, you need this and I can't afford to pay you what you're worth. So here's a little, icing on the cake.
Yeah. Also historically correct. So,
right. Well, that's the way we try to approach things with our groups out here, is we try to stay as true to history as we can without the raping and the pillaging and all of the negative things that people romanticize out of the whole pirate experience.
Yeah. There's always that part of that, which I always find very, very interesting about the whole scene.
The guy who is the PR person for that group of people is nailing it. That's all I have to say.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And so you start the camp in 2011. And you said it was you were just using renting different parts of land that were available to you for that kind of thing. What were some of the, besides land, what were some of the growing pains that you had to go through to get that rolling?
Staffing.
Staffing? Okay.
Staffing was always a problem. I don't know how many creative types you've worked with, but sometimes they come with eccentricities that you weren't anticipating.
Yes.
And startup capital would be another challenge. So we've done a couple of fundraisers and some other things, but that's primarily why our registration is by pre-reg only, is because it is out here, especially in Oregon, it is very much a seasonal activity.
Sure.
But we're going to try to start offering some indoor events come next year. So there's no money coming in from October to March.
Sure. It's very cold and snowy up there then, yeah.
It is. Yeah, it's wet. It's wet. Nobody really wants to do that thing. So a few of us diehards do that thing. I was just talking to some friends of mine last weekend who went to a colonial event in the snow.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, what I'm trying to
We're doing a
offer
Valley Forge themed.
Yeah, right? Sounds epic to me, but no, I'm trying to provide more of a glamping-like opportunity while still giving people some rustic outdoor skills, because I think that the whole being completely outdoors thing is intimidating to a lot of people.
Yes.
And the people that I want to see come to camp the most are going to be people that haven't ever done that thing before.
Right. Yeah, I would fall under that because I camped a few times as a kid in Boy Scouts and things like that. And it was never like we one time camped on the grounds of the local mental hospital facility. We never did it like real. It was sort of weird. And so, but I've never been like a real outdoorsy kind of guy. So how do you explain the experience to somebody who's not a big camping person, but the idea still sounds interesting too?
Well, similar to your probably your childhood summer camp experience, we have a couple of different facilities. We have bunkhouse setup where the options, you can rent the entire bunkhouse if you're a large group. Or we sometimes have them set up as gender specific. And then we have platform tents like Boy Scout tents that have bunk beds in them, so you're not sleeping on the ground.
Okay.
We have a bring your own tent option if you really want to go the full bar. We have a period tent option where if you want to bring your period tent, we have a special village area that we set up for the people that have period equipment that want to come, because I own 3 period tents and I like to set them up at least a couple times a summer because they're expensive and I need to justify their purchase. But and then we have some cabins as well that have sleep 4 and sometimes we'll group people together who are only single registrants, or we'll have people buy the whole cabin for themselves. Then we have some merchants that will set up shop essentially and have like little things, handmade things that people can buy to add to their costume, or they can buy a tankard if they didn't have one, or they can buy garb if they didn't have garb. But we try to keep the merchant area, the shopping area, really small. Again, like Renaissance festivals and the SCA, the merchant area is usually pretty large, and that sometimes the events feel like they're just period shopping.
Right. Yeah. Big flea market.
That's not what I'm going for. I want an immersive experience. And we just acquired this property, but our plan is to inevitably build facades for the buildings so that they look like they're from the period, and start to decorate them on the inside to be more piratey. The buildings on the property were built in the 1920s, so they're already older, but they've been used for a special needs camp for the last 40 years.
Very cool.
And then we provide activities like fishing, swimming, boating, all your standard summer camp activities. And we have staff that are assigned to those activities to help guide inexperienced users through them, and they do little demonstrations before each activity for anyone who's never seen that thing done before.
Okay.
The creek that we have is generally stocked with fish from the local fish hatchery. So there's a very strong chance of catching a fish to have that experience. And then we have staff that will show you how to clean your fish and how to package your fish to go home with you or cook on your fire if you desire. You can cook it. We can't.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. The state of Oregon says, no. Your fish, you cook it. Bye-bye. And then I'm one of the archery instructors as well. So,
fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. Lots about that outside time.
So when people come to this, is it regimented in a way where, okay, everybody's doing this thing right now today? Is it very scheduled out, or is it fairly loose schedule where you can kind of pick what you want to do or not do anything, or what?
So the activities are really loosely scheduled. We have a maximum amount of people that are allowed to sign up for a particular time.
Okay.
And you just sign up for the time that you want. All the times are posted. But then we have sort of long arc, for lack of a better term, programming that's happening on top of the activities.
Okay.
So the activities are happening in the background, but the plot line of whatever live theater thing we're doing for that pirate event is also running the whole time. So activities will occasionally be interrupted for things like, so we have a couple of competitions, like the event that's coming up in June. We have a regatta.
Oh,
but
nice.
The regatta is kind of silly. It's like, taking pirates and summer camp games and mixing them together and getting people to get out of their shell and goof around and laugh at themselves and not take life so seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like a few years back, the objective, I change it up every now and then because of all the repeat clients. Otherwise they figure out how to cheat the system.
Well, they are pirates. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, actually, when I design games, I have 3 people that are essentially on speed dial that I send them the rules to my game and I tell them, break it.
Oh, okay.
Tell me how people are going to cheat. Because I've been performing with them so long, I know that they know what the loopholes will be.
Sure, that's your IT professional coming back in there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a little QA for that game.
Yep.
I want to anticipate some of those problems. The game, the regatta a few years back was you were given cardboard, butcher paper, and some fiberglass rods, and you had to build a boat that held at least one crew member for the race that was happening later.
Oh my gosh.
And you could use any of the supplies in your encampment, but you had to use the butcher paper, the cardboard, and the rods.
Interesting. That sounds fun.
Oh, it was hilarious. Oh my goodness, the things that came out of that. And this one guy made himself a boat that was like a sandwich board. He was wearing just a cardboard boat. It was what it looked like, at least. I'm sure he was wearing more than that, but he had like suspenders that went over his shoulder to hold the boat in place. And that was how he was planning to race. He was at least one of the crew of the group that came. And Brig is really designed to be sort of a group activity for family units, so that sort of thing. So you build your own crew when you get to site or before you get to site, if you want to register with a group. And then you create your own colors and submit your ship name and your captain's name and your colors, and then we incorporate that into the programming. We encourage everyone to have a pirate name for however long they're staying with us. All of my staff are required to have a pirate character, and they have to do historical research on that character. One of the big things that comes up from time to time is I'll have someone submit to me their character profile, and I'll read it, and I'll say, okay, I'd like to know how you live to be 35. Please explain that to me. I'm willing to let you have it as long as you can explain it to me.
Ancient for those times.
Yeah, I know. It's not great. It's like, you could be younger. It's okay. Remember, there's this that John Quincy Adams' son was an ambassador to the Dutch at the age of 12.
Right.
So, it's a whole different world.
That's funny. So, when you, how many staff do you have on hand?
I usually have between 5 to 15 staff, depending on the size of the event.
Okay. And how many campers would that be for?
The maximum size of event that I run is about 300 persons.
Okay.
I've run some larger ones. One of the events that I used to run for years, that wasn't my company, I was working with a friend, has 3,000 pirates attend it every year. Wow. And I decided I was the program coordinator for that event, and I prefer going to an event where I can remember everyone's face, especially if I'm in charge.
Yeah, I imagine.
So I figured out that 300 is about where my memory stops.
Okay, yeah. And that's pretty good even there.
Yeah. Our average size this last year has been around 80.
Okay.
But this is our first year at our new facility. And we did take 2 years hiatus, essentially, to try to conserve funds. So at our peak back in 2014, we probably had close to 350, maybe 400 people.
Okay.
Our new facility won't support quite that many people. So.
I see. Okay.
And what I found is that the smaller events got better reviews.
Yeah, I imagine they would. Yeah.
Had more intimate connections with people they'd never met before, made new friends, had new conversations. I mean, once you put the cell phone down, it's crazy what will happen. There are interesting people in the world, and seems like very few opportunities to meet them in a controlled environment.
Right. Yeah. You put the phone down, you have to talk to people's faces, and that's terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you're not you, is it terrifying?
Right. Yes. Yeah, that's the
That's
difference.
kind of the concept. People are like, well, why is it a pirate thing? It's like, so that you can have some anonymity, so you can be someone else, and you don't have to worry about all of those ridiculously insecure things that all of us have.
Sure.
And you can put on a face and say, my partner, he plays a reanimated bird that I paid here's where we get into whimsy a little bit and away from history, but I paid a necromancer to reanimate him. Nice. And I was skimped on the cost. And so I provided him with a bird soul and not a human soul. And so now he is half bird and half human. And so mostly he just says, "Who's a pretty birdie?"
I love the idea of bargain necromancer. That's
yeah, Ava's a cheapskate. That's my pirate character. she's, I needed my bosun, but I didn't need him to be human. It's fine.
There you go. So now, do you have adults only camps for people who aren't fond of children?
I do. I have 21 and over camps. I wish that I could run ones that were just 18 and over, but what we found here in Oregon, because of liquor laws, that creates some problems, because if I have programming that is meant for adults, that adults enjoy, that include things like some day drinking, then I can't have 18-year-olds.
Sure.
Or that there won't be as much for them to do, and then that makes me feel bad. So I have my open camps, which are for all ages, and then I have 21 and over camps. And the 21 and over camps are really the big thing that we're trying to get off the ground this year in particular, because everyone who's on staff, our passion is largely providing opportunities for adults.
Okay.
Because I mean, what do you do after 21 to meet new people?
Right.
And hang out. You go to a bar? Well, yay, that's awesome. That's really entertaining. Nothing monotonous or trite about that. So we're trying to provide more opportunities for escape from the modern world.
Right. Yeah, that's very cool. Now, how long are the camps? I can hear people right now going, well, I can't take that much time off from real life. How long are those camps?
Most of our camps are 3 days.
Easily doable then.
It would be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or at most a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Nice.
We will have next year some week-long camps, but we're considering potentially offering those to family units to start with. So instead of a 21 and over week-long camp, I don't know if that's a lot of day drinking. So a week-long camp. Ooh. No, that event that has 3,000 people at it, it's a week-long. And it's killer. It's right in the middle of July, too. So it's like 102 outside.
Sure.
And yeah. So, but 3-day camps, I wanted something that you could book and you could go away for the weekend and it would be relatively all-inclusive and you would have a different experience than a standard vacation. I got the idea largely from my performance circuit. So I've done some performances in the Midwest and in Texas with a couple of the festivals down there, and they all have permanent locations. Those festivals down there, like Scarborough and Sherwood and Texas Renaissance Festival, and it's amazing. It's better than Disneyland, in my opinion, because you're actually entering a period town, and you can choose to wear a costume or not. Because you see lots of people just come.
Sure.
And there's shopping, and then there's shows, and then there's activities. And my mom teases me that the idea that I'm trying to go for is pirate theme park, but it's I don't like that word.
Do you have shows and performers and such?
We do. We do a lot of it in-house, but because of my connections, there are a plethora of performers that I choose from that are in my network that I hire. Last year, for instance, I had a band play for the Eclipse event called the PDX Broadsides, and that's a bunch of women from PDX Yar who started a band, and they sing nerdy music like about Nathan Fillion's butt and things like that. So no, they were great, and they were a big hit. The audience really liked them. And then I hired our local theater, the Almsville Community Theater, to do a murder mystery dinner.
Nice.
For the first dinner to help set the ambiance of the event.
Okay. Was that a pirate-themed murder mystery dinner?
It was a pirate-themed murder mystery dinner. Yes. And so while all of the guests were eating, there was a theatrical performance happening in the tavern around them.
Very cool.
I keep trying to come up with new ideas I had a big imagination as a kid. And so I want to share my imagination with other people.
Yeah, certainly. Which kind of leads me into my next question. Why the name Finding Your Neverland? Obviously, there's a Peter Pan reference and all that kind of stuff, but how did you decide on that as your choice?
Well, it's actually rather personal to some extent, because I see the program that I'm developing as my passion. And I was an IT person for law enforcement, as I mentioned, and I used to make obscene sums of money at that job, but I was miserable. I hated it. I hated going to work every day. I hated sitting on the board. It was so draining.
Yeah.
And what being a pirate showed me when I started going to pirate functions and I started going to pirate performances was that there was this whole other way that I could be living my life that would be giving me some respite from the dumpster fire that is adult life. And so for me, it's like finding my Neverland. And if it can be that way for me, it can be that way for anybody.
Nice.
Where's the place where I'm going to go to be a kid again for just a little while?
That's very cool.
With all my buddies.
Yeah.
So
go be a lost boy. That's really great. That's fantastic. So where is the best place online for people to contact you, get involved in one way or another?
We are at www.findingyourneverland.org.
Great.
And that on that website, we have pages that have information about our camp and about us. So we have a list of season events currently posted, a way to buy tickets, and there is a employment page as well.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Very cool. And if for anybody listening, if you've never been to the Willamette Valley in Oregon, is one of the most beautiful places in the country. It's my all-time favorite drive when I'm on the road doing gigs. Anytime I get to drive through Oregon, fantastic. As long as it's not too far east.
It's gorgeous here.
Yeah, it's wonderful. You get east and it starts to look like Idaho and Wyoming, but
yeah, we're on the west side of the Santiam Pass, so
nice. Yeah, that's
still
beautiful
in the pretty area.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Faith, this has been great. I'm glad we finally got a chance to do this. This was really good, and I will make sure to get all that linked up in the show notes so people can come and visit your camp. Is there anything I forgot to ask you about that you want everybody to know?
Pre-registration is open.
Great.
Come to camp.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, this is fantastic. Yes, everybody go sign up. This will be fun. All right, Faith. Well, this was really great. I'm glad we got a chance to talk. Hope we can do it again soon.
Thank you very much. Thanks for reaching out to me.
You betcha. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And there it is, friends. That is my interview with Faith Pierce of Finding Your Neverland. And you can find out more about the camp at findingyourneverland.org. That's it, findingyourneverland.org. Did you hear something you learned new? Did you learn something? Did you hear something that you liked? Did you hear something you didn't like? Come on over and tell us on the Facebook page. Come on over to facebook.com/underthecrossbones. Leave us a note there and let me know what you dug, what you didn't. Twitter, also twitter.com/undercrossbones is where you can find us. We are sponsored today by Pirate Radio of the Treasure Coast, WKKC-DB. Playing the best music of today's hits, yesterday's classics, and Pirate Radio Talk playing the best pirate radio shows, including Under the Crossbones, 24/7 commercial free. Yeah! Just to listen, go to pirateradioTheTreasureCoast.com. That's the music. Or you can get the Pirate Radio WKKC-DB app. That's for music. Or go to pirateradiotc.com or get the Pirate Radio Talk app for the talk stations, and you can hear Under the Crossbones on both of those. All brought to you by iTreasure Radio, the very best digital media from independently owned stations at iTreasureRadio.com. And coming up pretty soon, in a couple weeks, we're going to have Dave MacArthur, who is the owner of Pirate Radio of the Treasure Coast, where he's going to be on the show. Oh my God, it's only taken us like almost 150 episodes. But we're going to have Dave on the show to talk about all that kind of good stuff pretty soon here too. So that is our show for today, friends. Thank you once again for tuning in. I really always appreciate it. If you want to find out more about Finding Your Neverland and get your pirate camping on, go to findingyourneverland.org and tell Faith I said hey. We got lots of cool shows coming up. Next week, Captain Jay Tucci, who has a new children's pirate book out that I think you're really going to dig. I liked it. The week after, we're going to hear from Che Prasad and John Howard of the Shark Alley Hobos. That is a piratey band here in California that I found that I think is really cool. And we have also James Masciarelli, author of Beyond Beauport, coming up. So all sorts of really cool guests. Stay tuned in. Make sure you're subscribed. Come say hi and tell your friends. If you do all those things, you would be my hero and the wind beneath my wings. See you next week.